The shores of Normandy on the north of France are dotted with mysterious bays, sandy beaches, and white rocks. This spectacular area was named after the Normans, who conquered the land in 911 and ruled over it for many centuries. It became part of the French crown land in 1204, and since then only left the king's jurisdiction for shorter periods of time. In Lower Normandy, about 1 kilometer off the coast, a small rocky island rises from the waters of the English Channel at the mouth of the Queneau River. This exceptionally beautiful place is Mont Saint-Michel. In 1979, it was among the first places to be listed as a World Heritage Site, with its fairy tale-like Benedictine Abbey. In medieval times, the island was considered a marvel of the Western world, then later called the eighth wonder of the world. The prominent players of French cultural life joined the movement, and they finally reached their goal in 1874. Many centuries ago, Mont Saint-Michel was a part of the mainland. In Roman times, it was called Mont Tombe and was probably an ancient Celtic burial site. It later became the place where Druids worshipped the sun and the Romans worshipped the Persian Mithras. According to legend, Julius Caesar was buried under Mont Tombe in a golden coffin wearing golden sandals. Saint Michael was said to have appeared to several shepherds on the hill, so a temple dedicated to him was built there in the 5th century. According to Jewish and Christian traditions, Archangel Michael is one of the 7 archangels, the field commander of God's faithful angels and the army of God, and also a victorious warrior. He is symbolized by his huge sword, with which he defeats all evil. His loyalty to God is immovable. Long ago, Archangel's Island had mythical significance, mainly due to it being a tidal island. When the tide was out, the hill was accessible on foot. When it was in, it became a real island. However, in 1879, a 1.5-kilometer-long causeway connecting the island with the mainland was built, so it could easily be accessed day and night. The tidal effect is really strong here. It can reach up to 15 meters. When the tide is out, we can easily walk to the abbey through the muddy riverbed, but only with a guide, as the incoming tide and the sudden fog can make orientation hard. We should be careful not to venture too far away from the mainland, as we can easily get stuck in the wet sand of the bay. According to the legend, the Archangel Michael appeared twice to Saint Aubert, Bishop of Avranches, in 708, and instructed him to build a church on the rocky islet. "Build it here, build it high, and if you build it, they will come," said the mysterious instruction. The first temple of the abbey was sanctified on the 16th of October, 708. This temple was the first site of the Archangel Michael cult and an important place of pilgrimage. Many other miraculous events were reported during construction. The morning dew drew the exact outline of the planned building. A stolen cow appeared in the place where the first granite stone was supposed to be laid down. A huge rock obstructing work was removed by the touch of a baby's foot. And Saint Michael himself appeared to show the source of a clear-watered spring. Due to the continuous expansions and reconstructions, work lasted for centuries, so the place bears the marks of several architectural styles. Many consider this to be the only place on Earth where the characteristics of Roman, Norman, pre-Roman, and Gothic architecture can all be found within one building. Porto de la Vancy, the double gates at the end of the causeway connecting the island to the mainland, lead us across the 15th century castle wall. The town on the southwest side of the abbey was founded in medieval times and, with its 10 inhabitants, still preserves the atmosphere and style of that era. The town's single, winding road, the Grande Rue, is dotted with stairs and lined with hotels, souvenir shops, and restaurants. Mont Saint-Michel Abbey, home to 50 Benedictine monks, was built in 966, when the Prince of Normandy gifted the island to the order. In the following century, the order made Mont Saint-Michel an important intellectual center and an ecclesiastical fortress. Construction of the abbey began in 1020 and was completed more than 100 years later. Part of the building stands on a basalt island, while the nave, the choir, and the wings of the transept lean on domed structures. The Normans added the western and southern sides of the abbey in the 12th century. Then, in the next century, the first Gothic part of the building was added to the northern side, financed by the donation of Philip II of France. This addition is justly called La Merveille, or the Miracle. Visitors can feast their eyes on many spectacular features of the Gothic style: lead glass windows in stone grids, buttresses and Gothic domes and gargoyles. Climbing towards the top, we first come to the Le Châtelet watchtower and the La Belle Chaise guard's room, from which a wide staircase takes us up to the Saugotier Terrace. Here, visitors can take a breather and admire the spectacular panorama. The church is located next to the terrace, with a statue of St. Michael in its 152-meter-tall tower. Four-meter-wide pillars support the dome of the crypt, next to which rooms and prisons are located. La Merveille is a 3-story building. On its top floor are 13th-century sleeping chambers and a 25-meter-long and 14-meter-wide cavalry, or cloister, created by a double row of 220 polished granite columns and carved domes. On the middle floor, visitors can see the 28-meter-long 12th-century Chevalier room, with its beautiful rows of pillars. A perfect Gothic night room and a refectory are separated by a row of pillars. Living quarters and storage rooms were located on the ground floor. During the building of the abbey, stone blocks were brought to the island by boats and pulled up the steep slope with ropes. Food was later transported up to the abbey by turning the wheel of a smart contraption. The abbey was turned into a fortress during the 100 Years' War when the Benedictines were driven off during the French Revolution, and the building was used as a prison until 1863. The fortress resumed its original function in the last century. Since 2001, 5 male and 8 female members of a new order, the monastic fraternities of Jerusalem, live among the several hundred-year-old walls. Many pilgrims visit the place in summer to ramble barefoot and sing across the island with a flag of St. Michael in their hands. The biggest festivities are held on the Feast of St. Michael, the 29th of September. The French government built a separate museum to store the 14,000 volumes of the Benedictine library. Researchers from all over the world travel here to study astronomical, mathematical, geographical, historical, philosophical, theological, and musical codexes and manuscripts. One of the main tourist sites of the Archangel's Island is its one-of-a-kind sundial. The face of the clock is in the sea, but can be seen well even when the tide is in. Mont Saint-Michel celebrated its 1,300th anniversary recently and is still just as spectacular up close as it looks promising from afar. The small island reminds us of childhood fairy tales and the archaic atmosphere of ancient buildings, and the sight of the never-ending sea enchants visitors. We might even get the feeling that the previous inhabitants of the town and abbey are still here in hiding, and if the nosy tourists would disappear as if by magic, they would surely come out.